Who told you? Who told you? Who told you? Who told you? You what? God design, God design.
Hey, what's up, boy buddies? We back. We going in today. What's up, my friend? Good to see you, bro. International GH Dog TV Solo One. What's up, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing great, brother. What about you?
Man, it's every day, man. We got a chance, man, and I'm gonna give it my all, man. That's all I know. How
Exactly,
doing,
and everything is good over here in Ghana, West Africa. Everything is cool right here. What's up? What's up in the States as well?
Man, listen, it's hot over here, but you know, hey, and then you can't unheat it. You know, like when it's cold, you can always add on some more clothes. But it's hot, but you know, we go make it work, man. It's all good, bruh. It's all good.
I can imagine. But over here, we're used to the hot weather, so maybe your hot is gonna be a different altogether. But then, well.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Hey, look, one thing that we can't do is change the weather. It's out of our control.
Very, very true. Very, very true, brother. And it's great seeing you once again, brother.
Yeah, you too, bro. You too. I got the puppies in the back. I don't know if she hear your voice and she's woke up. Hey, but listen, I want to explain something to everyone to understand what we got going on. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. All right. So Jordan will be back in a bit and then we'll get right into what we're going to be doing today. Yeah.
Sorry about that, man. I got the dog and the puppies in the back. I don't know what it is. She starts sounding off sometimes. You got to double check, you know. And then she was just growling. She was just growling at the puppies, bro.
Whoa. I can imagine, bro. I get it. Brother. So, brother, it's great. It's great getting to meet you live today. Today's like my first time being on your platform. The other time you're on my platform and it was fireworks. And today I'm glad we're going to be talking about raw feeding for our audience.
For sure, man. You know, it's been ever since I went on your platform, bro. I've been having, you know, I was already international, but I've been having so much interest being expressed all over the world. We got to figure out some kind of way we can get the dogs over there, man, because people tapping in, and I'm talking about all different parts of the globe. I love it. You know, one of the best things for me about dogs is bringing people together, you know, like-minded.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's awesome. I love the feedback you're getting. And I know for sure the quality of dogs that you have, we're definitely going to find a way to get people to get exotic. Everybody needs to get a puppy from Exotic Boerboels, you know. The quality, I love them. I love them dogs.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. And I see your enthusiasm. If y'all don't know who Solo is, he's a journalist. He's an advocate for dogs. He's a great dog lover. And he does interviews with all different people all over his country. And you travel all over other countries too, in parts of all over the world. Am I correct? Or you explain, let them know.
Yeah, so this so what we're going to do is we actually started from Ghana, West Africa. We interview dog breeders, we get up close with dog enthusiasts, we cover dog events and all of that. But very soon we'll be starting to go visit other countries, wherever the good dogs are at, wherever every dog lover is. Trust me, we're going to get there. We are going to get there. And we're going to bring you all of the feed and all of the content that you're going to love. And I know for sure that one day we would definitely be at Exotic Boerboels, and then we'll be checking all them beasts at your place, bro.
Yeah, I got to get over there too. That's one of the things on my bucket list. I got to get over there to the motherland where it all started.
You need to come, bro. And when you come, trust me, I'm going to take you around. You're going to visit all the baddest breeders. You're going to see all the beautiful Boerboels. If it's Rottweilers you want to see, if it's Cane Corso, whatever breed, we're going to take you to the kennels. You meet the breeders and all of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
most
I
definitely.
see the passion over there, bro. And I want to be a part of the movement and the dogs touching international. That's part of hey, you know, maybe what we can do, set up some scoring, set up some dogs, and not come over and judge the dogs. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you
For
set it,
sure, brother.
and then that could be a fun our trip. You know how they do it, and you know the same way
For
that they
sure, for sure, for sure. More,
yeah,
more things gonna happen, Jordan. For sure, most definitely.
yeah.
You need to get back to the motherland. Anybody who's watching us from the USA, you need to come to the motherland. Come to the motherland. And if you're coming to the motherland, come to Ghana first. If you're coming to Africa,
Yeah,
let me
my
be the
dude.
last on that one.
Man, my dude went over there, and ever since he told me about it, Dog Pound Boerboels, my guy Hakeem, big shout out to him because he's
Okay.
international player. He touched over there. He went to first place. He jumped off the plane, and he said they greeted him
Wow.
with open arms. Welcome home, brother. Welcome home.
Ghana is a beautiful place. Trust me, Ghana is a beautiful place to be. And when you come here, you can check out some videos online. You'll notice that Ghana is is the hospitality. Ghanaians are great people. Not because I'm Ghanaian. I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but I'm just being honest. Ghanaians are very, very hospitable people, and there are lots of tourist sites and places that when you come, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it, Jordan.
No doubt, bro. No doubt. And one thing about it is good people is good people. You can't deny that. Well, today
Exactly.
you had a lot of questions about the raw. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
figured, hey, instead of us having a private conversation, let's open
Yeah.
it up. Maybe there's some information that we can exchange and help
Mm-hmm.
people understand more about raw feeding. You know, from my perspective, this is one of my
Mm-hmm.
ways I have been able to have great success with my dogs. The way that they look different, the way that they
Yeah.
are different, you know, is because of the raw feeding. I touched
Mm-hmm.
down with my peoples. Hey, what's the Middleton? Long time no see, my friend. Yes. We one of the things that I have been doing with the raw feeding though has empowered me and my dog
Okay.
breeding program. Because you know, the way that I have been doing it, it makes it affordable. It makes it
Okay.
the dogs look good, they're very healthy, they're very
Mm-hmm.
strong, and we able to do more with our dogs because of it. You know, it opens it up, it makes it people think that raw feeding is going to be unaffordable. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm here to help you with your raw feeding and share some tips and tricks that I have learned. You know, any way
Okay.
that we can do better for the dogs across the world. You know, I feel
Mm.
like we owe the dogs. The dogs have done so much for me. I say it over and over again. I want to help people. I want to empower people. I want to contribute. And this is so I'm happy to have you here, brother.
Man, and it's great being on your platform to ask you certain questions. You know, there are a whole lot of misconceptions. Today, I've got a bunch of questions for you to answer. I've got a
All
bunch of
right, I'm
questions for you
ready.
to answer. You know, because you know there are lots of misconceptions out there. You know, some people are even of the view that when you feed your dogs raw, your dogs are even going to turn around and eat you, the owner.
Right, right. Yeah. Well, no, see,
Yeah.
one of the things that okay, so when I first experienced with the raw was I gave my dog Bear as a puppy. I mean, as a young boy, I
Okay.
gave him a bone, and it was like you know he did turn around and he was like very protective of the bone. You know, this dog was maybe 8, 9 years old before the first time that he ever had a dog a raw bone like that, and I think
Okay.
that what happens is the dogs they have been so used to eating this cereal dog food that they start
Okay.
to say, hey, listen, please, this their way of saying don't take this away from me, but they're not, you know, you can't be scared
Mm.
of your own dog, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So in dogs they have a pecking order. You have to step in with authority and let the dog know I own the dog bone. I own everything. I'm in control of everything. You cannot be afraid to check your dog. If the situation calls for it, present itself, and then you kind of be expecting that. Just think of yourself. Hold on, this is my daughter. I gotta make sure that they okay.
Okay.
What's up, Jaleesa? I'm on the live. Oh, my baby. I'm waiting on you. I got your cookies ready. Come on through. Yeah, that's my baby checking in. She just got out of school. She's ready to check on them puppies.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but the devil, I gotta take that call. But yeah, see, so just imagine yourself for the first time in your life, you ever get something that's nutritional, that's appropriate, that feels good, that tastes good when you get it, and it's satisfying. You just gonna be kind of protected, like, hey man, don't take this away. Hey, hold on. The dog's the only way that they saying that they able to say that is with the low rumble tones, and they kind of get possessive, and then they might do a couple warning, but you have, if you're very knowledgeable and experienced with dog behavior, there's appropriate response to that, right? So you don't back up, you get right in there and let the dog know, hey, listen, I control everything. This is mine. You is mine. And don't you ever try that again. It's gonna be severe consequences, if you know what I'm saying. And you just don't be afraid to let the dog know. I mean, it's like dog behavior. You have to sometimes take the role of a leader and step in there and take control. Don't be afraid to discipline your dog, and then the dog's of a manner that the dog is going to respect and understand. And especially with a large, powerful dog like the Boerboel. Okay, that's why they say it takes a firm hand, and it's not for the inexperienced owner. You have to be able to communicate the message and get the point across effectively.
Beautiful. So Jordan, let me start by asking you this question. What do you feed your dogs on a daily basis? What do you feed your dog?
So first, that's a good question, and I like how you worded it. On a daily basis. My dogs don't eat on a daily basis. My dogs don't eat every day.
Whoa.
Yeah. Right.
So how do you go about it?
I'm skipping 2 days, 1 to 2 days in between feedings. Remember that I'm feeding them highly value, high nutritious food and content. There's a high nutritional value, concentrated food. So it's not cooked, it's raw. My number one ingredient is tripe, has a lot of fat, magnesium, phosphorus, probiotic, digestive enzymes. So the dog is able to absorb nutrients at a higher rate. And I think as one of the things that we done kind of been misled about is how much food that we actually need. We're only supposed to eat to nourish the body. Okay. So if you're not doing a whole lot of physical activity, if you're not expending a whole bunch of calories, then you can't even justify eating. I know it tastes good. It feels good to eat. Yeah. And you get that feeling of satiation where you're satisfied and you're full. But at the end of the day, you should be earning that. Right? Traditionally, as human beings, we would have to do some kind of work in order to earn our rations. So that would be involved hunting, that might be involved gathering, planting, watering, right? And we would go through periods of fasting or starvation. And that gives our body, our organs, a chance to rest, recover, recuperate. And you see a lot of the weight gain of people, this is because of the food it's been industrialized. We're able to produce large quantities of food. So we have this idea that we're supposed to eat 3 meals a day or 4 meals a day, 5 times a day. I feel that less is better. And I go through periods of fasting myself, and it's much better for the body. Okay. So first, let's start with that right there. The dogs don't eat every day.
Every day. Okay.
Yeah. And then you asked about what it is that I'm feeding. The first thing, so I got an abundance of tripe. That's the number one. Sometimes I feed tripe alone, green tripe.
Okay.
And it took me years to be able to, build up the relationship with the farmers and people that have the cows. And I'm able to get the tripe in the large quantities. I told her, I don't care how much you have, I buy it all. right? I don't care how much, whatever you do, whatever. Listen, I need it. I got to have it. And they just eventually got tired of me calling so much because I knew that it was a way to get it. I have finally, you know, when my dog arrived from South Africa, the health was so evident.
Okay.
One of the things that this guy talked about, my breeder talked about, was tripe. And so I was like, I got to have it. I went, you know, I was traveling, going to different venues, dog shows, and I found somebody that was feeding the tripe in my area. So I knew if they could do it, I would be able to do it also.
Okay.
And I just took that approach where, hey, I know. So I kept calling around, checking in with people, and they kept leading me back. All roads will lead me back to this same source. And I'm like, well, everybody keeps telling me to call you. Everybody keeps telling me to call you. And she eventually said, come on out. You know, we'll see what we can do. I'll work out something with you. And the relationship was born. And we've been dealing ever since. And it really has been a blessing. So now what I do is so I do the organs also, and I'll grind it up together. But some days I would just feed independently tripe. I might mix it up with lungs, chicken, you know, and I mix it up. So some days I give them chicken, leg quarters or backs, you know. After we take the 8-piece, we're going to get 2 breasts, 2 wings, 2 thighs, 2 legs, right? Breast, wing, thighs, legs. Breast, wings, thighs, legs. So yeah, so that after that's been removed, what you have is a carcass, and there's still lots of meat on those bones. So the dogs can eat those bones. I don't know how y'all processing or like what y'all grocery stores is like over there, but it probably you know, with the way that we have food, you should see the stuff that they throwing away. Right. And it's fresh. I go to them. Hey, listen, the grocery stores, y'all back there processing, cutting up the chicken, putting it in the packs. What are you going to do with the rest of the chicken? Well, look, I got hungry dogs that would love to have that. It's not for me. It's not for me. I'm not going to eat it. I'm going to give it to the dog. Okay.
To the dog.
For the dog. Yeah. And if you think about it traditionally, it's the natural way. Dogs historically have ate the remains of the humans, you know, slaughters and kills and stuff that we have left over. That's what dogs survive at. This historically, this is like the way that dogs became domesticated from surviving off of the food scraps that we leave, the things that we leave behind. And you know, just think logically, it all makes sense, right? The dog food is the stuff that we, after they process the grain, after they take all of these the good parts and the stuff away, they say, wait a minute, we can put this together in a package and mix all this stuff up together and make it into dog food. That's what dog food is. It's the remains of human foods. All of the scraps, after we take all of the choice pickings, then they mix it all up and blend it up into a dog food. That's what dog food is. And then they cook it down and make it where, you know, it can be packaged and added preservatives to it, add vitamins to it and fortify it and make it hella nutritious. And then they package it up and put it on the shelf. And then you think that this is the only way to feed your dog.
Wow. So Jordan, so do you just do raw feeding, or you sometimes feed them with the kibbles as well? How do you go about it? Or do you mix? Or
no, I do all raw. My big dogs, my males, my females, all raw, and I make sure that I skip in between. Now, I do supplement when the dogs get pregnant. I do supplement with the kibble. I want to increase the chances of survival. I use the Eukanuba as competition. I don't know if y'all have that available over there, but I use a high end dog food.
I think I've seen that brand.
Yeah. So the reason, and I got a good explanation for that, because all right. So if we feed it, if we're thinking that logically in the wild, and we going with the natural way, all the dogs are not going to survive, right? And we want to increase the likelihood. So they might have large litters, and then you only see 3 or 4 puppies survive. Well, that's not really ideal for what we're trying to do. Remember that we also is reducing pets. We want to increase the likelihood of having large litters and healthy litters. You know, it hurts for us to it would hurt for me to lose a bunch of puppies. You know, just to watch them die and come out weak. I want them to be strong. And just from a nutritional standpoint, you know, just to get the raw diet 100% correct, it takes a lot of different components. So I mean, the tripe, it makes the dogs thick, it makes them healthy. I'm not sure if it has everything that the dog needs, but I know that they strong and they live long, healthy lives.
Wow. That's amazing to hear. And thank you to everybody who has joined our live today. I see House of Virginia Rottweilers from Ghana, West Africa, one of the best Rottweiler breeders. You need to check him out. You need to check House of Virginia. He's doing amazing. He's a very knowledgeable guy. He's got top quality Rottweilers.
I see him there too, man. Big ups to you, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody
You can check out his YouTube as well. You can check out his YouTube. He's got the baddest rotties in Africa, man. Top guy.
For sure, man. I'm gonna definitely visit, man. You know, that's the least that I can do. For sure.
For sure, Jordan. So thank you to everybody who is joining our lives right here with Jordan Pittman of Exotic Boerboels and myself, Solo One from GH Dog TV. You can call me the dog blogger from Ghana, West Africa. So now, Jordan, my next question is, so for how long have you been feeding raw?
Okay, so I've been in the dog. It took me 2 to 3 years to get it, so it's about 16 years now.
Ooh. And how did was it somebody who introduced you to it, or was it a research? I know most definitely you might not have started with it, but then how did you get to know about the raw feeding?
Well, it's really interesting. And that's so what happened, you know, when I got into dogs, I started reading nutrition labels, and I had not done that before. And my cousin was talking about the first 5 ingredients. That's was really the dog food is made up of. So I started to become aware, it heightened my awareness. And I think that this is something we all can learn from, you know, because we want the best for our dogs. It also helped me learn better for what I was doing for myself. So then it raised my awareness and my consciousness about the things that I was ingesting. And I kept saying, well, why do I need, first ingredient, we want it to be meat-based, right? Why not? And then I told you that my breeder that I got my dog from South Africa had a lot of information about the dog raw diet, bones and raw foods. He had a whole page dedicated to it. Dr. Ian Billinghurst, the barf diet. He talked about it and the natural way of feeding dogs, promoting a healthy lifestyle. And I had a litter of Connie Corsos, and I was feeding them chicken, and they would devour the chicken. They was very, you know, they like dog food, but they love raw food. Okay. And I figured, well, if it's important to have the #1 ingredient meat, why not just give the dog meat? So I did try with like ground beef and ground or raw chicken breast and stuff like that. But it's not, the stool was not ideal from that. Okay. So I started to do more research, and you know, research, study, empower yourself with knowledge. I'm always encourage you to do that. I was telling my daughter today, we went downtown, I had a lecture with her. It's about bettering yourself, and then you enhance your value so you can contribute and help others. And so this man was sharing with his knowledge about the dogs. When my dog arrived from South Africa, it was this beautiful. The coat, the volume, the health, the evidence was there. And so I wanted to learn more, and I just began to study and just do research. I cannot undermine that. You have to do your homework. You got to do your research. Knowledge is power. And so that's part of the reason why I would like to share with others, you know, what I have learned, to give you it's not about, oh, this is everything. This is a starting point. I still want you, take what I say, but that's not the gospel. This one source of information. Still follow up with research. You might find that this works for me, but it might not be the best for you. Might find better in the end. I would encourage you to come back and share. So based off my understanding, how meat was very important. Dogs need, meat-based diet. They can't survive off of the, but they don't do ideally off of the grains, fruits, and vegetables. So that kind of led me to my raw journey.
Your raw journey. Okay. And since you started this raw feeding and all of that, what are some specific changes or benefits that you have personally noticed in your dogs? Have you noticed any changes so far within these, I think, 2 to 3 years you started feeding raw? What are some of the specific changes that you have actually noticed?
Okay, so that's a very good question, because I think this will be able to help people a lot with this. It is going to end a lot of misconceptions. One of the things, the first thing that I noticed was the mass, the way that the dogs carried the weight. It was more evenly spread across the body.
Oh, so it wasn't just on one particular side.
No, they weren't just bigger. They were not bigger at all. In fact, they got more well defined. The muscles were more evident. It was the way that the weight carried all over the body was the first note change that I noticed. And I'm very observative. I'm looking at my dogs every single day. And because you got to be able to pick up on the small things. My guy, good looking, man. Appreciate that. That's my bro right there, Dwayne, from way back in the day, came through for us, man. He always looking out, support. He know how we do. And we even talked about feeding beans and rice and stuff back in the day.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah, that's bro right there. Always solid dude too. But yeah, one of the first things that I noticed was my dogs was carrying weight very evenly. They became more streamlined. And I think a lot of people get into the raw feeding thinking that it's going to blow their dog up and make them bigger. I don't want you to believe that, though. It's not going to make your dog bigger. It's going to make your dog fitter. Right? It's not going to see. We get too caught up in size, right? Now, size is important. Size is important, but size doesn't mean is not the only thing. It's not everything. It's one thing to consider in the totality of the dog. So and I always, when you make this reference when I talk about raw feeding. Now I'm 5'11", right? And I could potentially carry 300, 400 pounds. Does that make me healthier? Is that ideal for my organs? Is that ideal for my joints? Right? You want to, this is about doing what's best for the dog, not making them bigger, not trying to beat on our chest. My dog weighs 230 pounds. It's not about that. This is about enhancing the quality of life. This is about prolonging the dog's life and feeding them the things that they need in order to thrive, not merely survive.
Okay.
So one of the first things that I noticed was a stronger definition in the muscling, more energy, and the way that they carry the weight. It's kind of, you gotta have you gotta be able to visualize. Just imagine, 230 pounds fit and 230 pounds of fat. Now, fit is going to be muscle. You're going to see the definition in the shoulders, the chest, the back, the neck, the abdomen is not swollen and extended. The abdomen is tucked in, right? Whereas that's the fitness. Okay.
Wow.
And then the fat, will be just 230 pounds, and it's all in the stomach, carried around the organs, carried around my lungs, carried around my kidneys, carried around my liver, right? Not very much muscle development, right? So we want to see that. We want to see that. That's, you know, evidence of fitness, health, active. Will your dog be able to move? Will your dog be able to hunt? Will your dog be able to run? Will your dog be able to jump? These are the indications of health. So it's the same thing for us. You look like you take care of yourself, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the diet, though.
Yeah.
You're not eating. I can tell you're not eating a whole lot of McDonald's ready-made meals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at you. I can see it. Yeah. So as you carry weight different when you eat healthy and the species appropriate foods.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Greater absorption, much less waste. Because remember, all of those fillers and stuff, it is not, the dog's body is not designed to absorb that. So you got a whole lot of waste, and it's not formed, it's not tight, it's not solid. Right? When you feeding the dog a species appropriate food, it comes out rock solid. And you can pick it up and throw it, and it don't break up. You know what I mean? And it doesn't smell as bad. Okay. And then the dogs, oh my goodness, they don't smell as bad, right? Yeah. So I've heard people talking about when you, and I don't wear deodorant. Oh my goodness, my camera gonna go dead. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. So as we wait for Jordan to come back and continue with the conversation, if you just joined us, we're talking about raw feeding.
Yes. Hey, my friend. Yeah, but pardon me one moment. I'm gonna switch it out. Maybe, you know what? Let me just jump over here on this camera.
Okay.
Can you see me good?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Different angle, nice one as well.
All right. Yeah, so I'm still here, buddy. We still in here. Don't worry, I ain't going nowhere. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another good point. Thank you for that, T Money. Way less water, right? And I think that that's due to the dogs needing, you know, because they're putting sugar on there, they're putting salt on there to make it more palatable to the dog, right?
Okay.
So that dehydrates them. Yeah. So when you feeding the raw. And then remember the moisture content. So I have my raw food analyzed by the state of Ohio because I wanted to, you know, it's called a guaranteed analysis, and it's part of the consumer protection to make sure that, you know, what you're giving the person meets certain guidelines in order to be labeled a dog food versus a dog supplement versus you know, it's a lot of different categories, a dog treat. And if you want to call a dog food, it has to meet certain nutritional requirements, and that's handed down by the United States Department of Agriculture. And it's safety measures because, you know, the consumer is often not informed. So what happens is, can y'all see me good there?
Yeah, I can see him.
Yeah. So what happens is, you know, I took my dog food down to the state of Ohio and I had it nutritionally analyzed so I could put it because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I wanted to be able to offer it to the general public, right? I didn't want to, and it definitely made a difference in my understanding of what it was that I was giving my dogs. Okay, so based off of the USDA requirements, I forgot what was the question. I kind of got distracted. I was doing two things at once. I'm not able to multitask like that.
Okay. So you were still on the specific changes or benefits that you have personally noticed in your dog since you started feeding. I think I've seen a couple of comments coming in. Yeah, I think T-Money says less poops too, bro. And indeed, Dwayne Ray also says, indeed, poops is way better. Yeah,
Peace.
Bianca says, "Hey, my friend, spelling germs as usual."
Yeah, we're all the way coming in from I forgot what she said, Barbados, I think. But yeah, we
Oh,
international.
beautiful.
International.
Oh man, we're global. We're global.
Right, that's right. All the way we trying to bring it, we trying to bring the best information that we possibly can for
For
everybody.
sure. And she also thinks that raw is best. Looks like a lot of people actually feed raw.
Yeah, because you know what? It's like you want to do the best for your dog. You love your dog. Your dog is
Mhm.
there for you. And then remember, feeding is also a way that we bond. It's a way that we express
Mm,
our love. You know, you cook up, you
mm,
whip up stuff, and then it tastes good. And if you engage with all of your senses, touch, smell, sight, sound, we are all of that stuff. It allows us is a form of a communication. So you want to you gonna pet your dog when you love them. You gonna talk to them nice, right? And you want them to feel good. You want them to smell good. You want them to taste. You
mm,
want them the things that they put in their mouth. You want it to taste good, right?
mm, mm,
And you feel better when you sit down and have somebody you done cook something, and then even if you're not the one that's eating it, if you're cooking it for someone, and then you feed them and then they enjoy it.
mm,
Right? How do you
mm,
cook for
mm.
people? Or do you have sit down and have dinner? Hey, like where you have friends over and then maybe I don't know what y'all do over.
Mm.
Let me know what do y'all do over there? Like, do you sit down and have dinner together?
Oh, I think the network was breaking. Can you come again?
I was saying, like, okay, it's one of the
Hmm.
ways that we bond,
Yeah,
us over food,
yeah,
right? You want to do good for your loved ones. It's a way that you express love. You right? You sit down and eat together,
exactly,
right?
exactly. You're dying together. Yeah,
Yeah, y'all do that too, right? Y'all sit down and
yeah, yeah. On
have
the
meals
dining
together with
table,
you.
sometimes, yeah, you have meals together with family, with friends, and all of that. And it's a
Right.
beautiful way of bonding as well.
Yeah. So it's not always about you eating the food, but don't you get
Yeah.
enjoyment from watching other people eat? Like if you cook something and you
Mm-hmm.
feed your friends, hey man, taste this. Come
Yeah,
on, man. I got some food. Come on over
yeah,
and eat. Right.
yeah,
And then it's a
yeah.
way that
Exactly.
hey, you know that they taste good. You like that. You want to. So it's the same thing for the dog. Right? Dog lovers want to feed their dogs good. They want their dogs to be happy. They want their dogs to
Yeah.
be looking good because it's
Mm,
it's an extension of yourself. It's part of who I
exactly.
am. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. 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 I get
Yeah.
you very well. I get you very well. Yeah. So Jordan, and also let me ask this question as well. Since you started feeding raw, have you seen any changes in the dog's coat and all of that as well?
Oh, most definitely. Look at our dog. I mean, all of them. I'm not spraying them dogs down with Jerry Curl juice.
Oh,
Okay, I ain't putting ultra sheen and green, hair grease on my dogs, man.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's not shea butter that you see on them coats. You feel me? That's not coconut oil, man. That's natural sheen. That's the natural sheen. That's from the dog food, bro. You feel me? I'm serious. I'm
Well,
serious, bro. For real. That's not
bro.
that. I have not sprayed nothing. That's the natural coat. I'm looking at one of my dogs
Mm-hmm.
right in the on the bottom, and they're like I didn't wash the dog up or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the
But the coat
natural
is
oils.
clean.
Yeah. Yeah. It
You know
brings
my
out the
favorite. You know my favorite of your dogs is still Bagheera.
oh, really? That's not my dog. That's one of my dogs, but that is one of the best dogs that I have. He definitely was a great contributor. And what's a funny thing about the dog, right?
Uh-huh. Tell me about it.
So when I hooked up with dude, I went to the expo and I ran into the dude, and he was like the first dog that I saw there, and we out in the middle of the country of nowhere, right? And I'm like,
Wow.
this the first dude I see. Bro, what's up? Hey man, I had some business going on back home, and I couldn't. My phone wasn't working. I said, bro, let me use your
Ooh.
phone, man. I need to call my people's home, and because I ain't getting no
Mm-hmm.
service, so I had his number, right? I had this dude's number. He didn't have no website. I didn't know his
Uh-huh.
name. You see what I'm saying?
Whoa.
So then
Yeah.
this is the first dog that I see. and it's a bunch of other dogs there, right? And he's running. So they scored the dog. They ranked the dog low, 75.2, which is the same. It's ironic. That's the same score that I had from the beginning.
Okay.
And I say, so the dude was and the dog was wild. Okay. He was wild. He wasn't like this, like the show style. He was running up on people's dogs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was out of control. He was out of control. But I like that. You know what I mean? And everybody else dog was like, very civil. You feel me? They walked, they like got him prepared for the dog show. You know what I'm saying? And
so your dog was the badass.
Yeah, he was bad. He was not behaving at all. And he was running up on people's dogs. And they looking like they was offended, and it's just, but at the end of the day, it's just a dog being a dog. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why do people be tripping, but I kind of understand. I guess it's certain protocols and etiquette. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then, now let me tell you this though, because he wasn't the biggest dog there. He had his brother there. They both turned 1 year old the same day. His brother that's Barbarian's dog, and dude was like pumped about it. He was all in the camera, Barbarian. He was screaming it and stuff. And then, so I'm feeling him too. You know what I'm saying? Like this boy, wow, he gonna cut. He ain't got no filter. My dude, Gerald Parker, he been actually traveling to Africa, and then he married a woman over there. And that made me curious about that too. But that's a whole nother story. Let me stay on subject. So the other dog that was there was Thanos, which was Bagheera's brother. This dog was 180, 170 pounds. He was way bigger than Bagheera. Okay, way bigger, just as impressive. So I know this is giving me an idea of the potential of the genetics. Okay, so I know even though Bagheera is the little brother, I still like the way that he jumping around and moving and, you know what I'm saying, running up on dogs. Now, this other dog, they had a water bowl by this dog, right? And he had, he was frothing, slobbing from the mouth. He was 180 pounds, but he couldn't even move. This is Thanos. He couldn't even move. And the guy that was there that had him, they had brought out a big bowl of water for the dog. And then he just sat down and he was just dumped his head in the water.
In the water.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was fate, though. It was by design. And at the end of the day, I'm looking at Bagheera, I'm looking at the dog, and I felt the energy. It's a certain, feeling that I'm aura, a spirit kind of with the dogs. And that I would like to have my dogs to have, like, okay, this is my kind of dog. So it wasn't it wasn't his color, although his color was strikingly beautiful, right? And the way his coat shined and everything, it was because it was other black dogs there. But it's a certain level of bounce, pep in his step, if that makes sense to you. It's a certain way that a dog move. You know what I'm saying? And then, he was dragging. He was testing the limits. He was pushing the limit of the leash. You know what I'm saying? He was not just being. He wasn't like, I just like the energy. I like the energy. You know what I'm saying?
Like it wasn't just dormant like that.
Yeah. And it was some nice dogs there. Don't get me wrong. But and then I kind of went with the fact that this was the first person that I met. Yeah. When I walked in the door. And then the brother, he was solid. He helped me out. I had some situation going on back at the house I wanted to check on, and my phone wasn't working because they have this out in the middle of it's like in the middle where you don't have good service and stuff. Wow. And I didn't bring no dog there. I really shout out to my boy, my dog Trez Marie. He was young and enthusiastic, and he had his dog there was Cairo, which I had been included in my breeding program. And he wanted to exhibit Cairo's abilities. Cairo was one of the few Boerboels that was involved with the bite work. Wow. And he was fierce. Fierce with the top rated 3% of the all breed of the whole entire breed, hips and elbows. and then he was a dominant, he was a force. Like, so it's a certain level of dog, like it's a certain, a very particular what I be looking for in my dogs to include in my breeding program. And it's like with a big dog, you need that energy. You know what I'm saying? You got to have that go, that drive, that push. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like who I am. It's a certain, like, because of my ideal is the most athletic mastiff. Right? Then he needs to be able to run. Right? Because I want to take the dog to his highest peak, to his greatest potential. And I feel like one of the ways to express that is through the activity, through the run, through the energy. Yep. So yeah, but yeah, man, that coat, man, definitely. It comes out.
I've seen your dogs whenever I go on your page. I admire them so much. Very beautiful. Their coat, very shiny, and all of that. And bro, big ups for that. You're doing amazing. You're doing amazing. And I love the fact that the Boerboel breed is a breed that originates from Africa, South Africa, and is represented right there in the States.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
And but let me say this too, because you know what? That is hey, we cannot forget, and this is one of the things that people often overlook and skip over, is that native Africanist dog. There's a street dog, it's a village dog. That's also included. It's rich in I don't know if y'all got that there in Ghana, but it's the regular it's the stray dog in the neighborhood or whatever. It's like y'all got packs of strays, but it's
so if I'm getting the wall, you're talking about those dogs that are the mongrel dogs.
There you go.
The street man. Those dogs, those dogs in Ghana, they mostly call them the local dogs.
There you go.
In Nigeria, they call them ekuke. In Kenya, I think Kenyans also have a name for that dog. But I know the Jamaicans also call that dog the JBD. That's the Jamaican Brownie. That dog can withstand any form of weather. That dog does not get parvovirus. That dog is a survivor and a hustler on its own.
Right. There you see, that's what they act like he don't exist. He got some of it, but now that's part of the rich African history, though. And that's what make these dogs special, because they got that knack for survival. You see, it even goes back. If you look at the way that the dogs in Egypt in history, the dog that Pharaoh had in the tomb, because he got hieroglyphics. Those, if you look at that dog, that mongrel dog, it looked just like that dog that's on the walls. And that history is a part of the Boerboel breed. Right. But they want to act like it's it didn't, because think about it, man. He finds a way to get in there. That
dog is a hustler, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, my first look, man, there was a dog that camped out outside my house with the Corso, man. He will be camped out. He was a mongrel, stray dog. He would be out there waiting though for my bitch to come outside. Yes. And look, man, he was like, I would have to run him away every single time. He was always out there though. They gonna survive. They gonna breed on their own. They gonna have puppies on their own. They figure it out some kind of way.
There's something amazing about them. Even when they have, with the breeds like the Rottweilers, German Shepherds, and all of that, when they have puppies, most of the time you have to be beside them, monitoring them, making sure that the puppies get breastfed well and all of that. But this hustler dog we're talking about, this dog can do everything on their own without any assistance. That particular, I think, there's I think I read somewhere there's this breed that they call the Africanus.
That's what I'm talking about, the Africanus.
And and when it comes to the African breeds, there's also another one that's called the Basenji.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, and then we have the Rhodesian Ridgeback as well.
Okay.
Yes, the
But
Rhodesian Ridgeback is also there. We have the Boerboel, and there's a couple of them too.
it's a
There's a couple
Zolta
of
or
them.
it's a Zolta or a Kota dog also. But they was talking about
Mm-hmm.
how what they do with the Bisenji or one of those dogs that they was going back and in order to like refresh the gene pool, they go back and get the strays or the ones that they in order to bring the health back to the purebred dogs
Mm-hmm.
that they then took and standardized them. They go back and get
Mm-hmm.
those dogs that don't necessarily
Yeah.
mimic the breed standard, but to
Mm.
restore the
Okay.
breeds. This is what one of the ways that they do. And I think that
Mm.
that is the distinction between the bull mastiff, between all
Mm-hmm.
of those other breeds that have been standardized and historically. It has
Mm.
that native Africanist dog that's been
Yeah.
surviving through the test of time
Yeah.
on its own. Has been able to,
Mm.
because think about it. People gonna feed the dog that have the value. If the dog was just taken, if it didn't give anything back, if it was just a
Yeah.
nuisance, they'll be hunting
Mm.
them down and exterminating them. So they
Yeah.
gotta
And
have
one thing about that dog too, Jordan. Over here in Ghana, when you go to the rural areas and all of that, these dogs are mostly used for hunting. And you should see. I'll try and get you some videos of them hunting. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love
yeah,
it. And there's another breed called the Azawak.
okay.
That's the African Greyhound.
Mm,
There was a time. There's this place in this location. What's the name of this? I think it's Pon in Accra, in the Greater Accra region of Ghana. There was a time I met with this young guy, and he said his father actually bought this breed from Mali, and these dogs were used to hunt.
mm,
I'll send you some videos of them. They are very slender, very
mm,
slim, very athletic. And the beautiful thing is they even use these dogs for racing, dog races in the communities.
yeah. It makes sense
And
to me, man.
one thing I loved about the dog was that I think we're at the beach with these dogs, and then one just ran off, and I was like, "Whoa, the dog just ran off." Would you go get the dog? He said, "Bro, don't worry. By the time we get home, the dog will find his way back. He knows everywhere."
Right. Exactly. That's the same thing as like my dog Bear. He was a mongrel, and even in this movie I was just talking about the other day, the dog was a stray. But the
Okay.
dog kept finding his way home. The owner was disgusted and done with the dog. He kept taking him far away, and the dog thought it was a game, and he was making his way home from like miles and many miles and stuff. But we gotta remember, we gotta keep that in mind. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's something that we kind of overlooking with this whole purebred standardized dogs, like historically the way that the dogs have been able to
Mm-hmm.
contribute, and then who doesn't want a dog that can survive on his own?
Yeah.
Right? That
Yeah.
doesn't need to be all of this supplemented and have to be bottle fed and do all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And like you said, they taking those dogs out and hunting with them. I would be curious
That,
how they breed. I would be curious, like, what they, how are they maintaining the population and breeding them? You know what I'm saying? Back like before, because you said
mm-hmm.
that. Now let me get this. Let me make sure that I'm understanding you correctly. You're saying that this is like in the tribal regions, right?
Okay. I think that network was breaking over here. Can you come again?
I say over like you saying that this is more like in the country, back in the backwoods, like this is in the villages, right?
Okay, you were saying that the area was like in the woods, or
Yeah, the dog that you was talking about that was hunting, and I was curious I would like to know how would they breed in the dogs. It would be interesting to me. How do they
okay, okay,
maintain,
okay,
like the
okay.
dogs, the lineage and the heritage. You said they was using them for hunting and even for racing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think with the Azawak, they are very deliberate with the breeding, but
Mm-hmm.
with the other dog, these stray dogs and mongrels, man, it's more like unplanned breeding. Sometimes somebody can have a dog like that at home, and they would have no idea how the dog even got pregnant. And
Right.
you know the funny, one funny thing about this breed as well. They are sharpshooters. Let's say you have your Boerboel at home. If your Boerboel comes on heat and you don't take care, by the time you realize, this hustler dog would have crossed your dog.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I know that happened. I know that happened. I'm telling you that had that because you know the dog knows he can smell it. He gonna go get it, and he ain't got nothing to hold him back. You know what I'm saying? And you can't keep an eye on that dog 24/7. You feel me? And so they those native dogs.
My big brother used to have a Doberman at home, and this Doberman was on heat, so he was trying to find a Doberman, a good start to mate his dog. You know, he wakes up one morning and he notices that these mongrel had jumped his wall and crossed the Doberman. It's like, oh my god.
yeah. I believe it because that sound like, hey, you know what? I got to have it. I'm going to get it. I got to have it. I know she over there. She said, come on. I've been waiting all this time. I've been waiting all this time. 6 months. I've been waiting 6 months. I'm coming over the fence. I'm coming over there, bro. I'm digging under the gate.
He jumped the wall straight up. He jumped the wall straight up. Trust me. It was crazy, bro.
Yeah.
So that dog, I think we will definitely have a lot of time to talk about that dog and some of the breeds that are in Africa and all of that. But then let's get him back to the raw feeding. I want to ask you this question. You know, there's a lot of fear. You know, you're talking about raw feeding and all of that. I see people in the comments saying that it's very good, but there's a lot of fear around feeding raw meat to dogs.
Mm-hmm.
In your experience, is it truly safe? Because a lot of people are scared. Like from the start, you see, I was telling you that some people even have the idea that if you're feeding raw, your dog will come back to bite. I hear these things all the time. They go like, yo, you're feeding your dog raw, they're going to come back to eat you. Some people have that.
Well, I think the biggest risk, and this being real, because there is, you know, with everything, it is risk, even walking outside your front door. But my biggest concern, and I've never had an issue with this, though, because I take the dog food and feed them outside. But what'll happen is they'll take a bone or something, a raw bone, or like if they don't eat it all, or they might take the food out the bowl and be dragging it across the kitchen floor. You know what I'm saying? You know, while they eating it and chewing it up. So the biggest issue, the biggest risk is salmonella, coccidia, salmonella, citronella. What is those things? Citronella? Is it citronella? Salmonella, salmonella, E. coli, salmonella and E. coli, or is it Ebola? Those diseases, though, I've never had it.
That's Ebola.
Yeah, food poisoning, basically.
Yeah, Ebola.
Yeah, so you get that from the dog touching the dog food, you know, like raw foods and stuff, cross contamination. No, I think it's E. coli. E. coli.
Oh, really? Rather, okay.
Yeah, salmonella, E. coli.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe you were talking about the disease Ebola.
No, salmonella.
Okay.
I get it mixed up. Salmonella, I got good looking, bro. Salmonella and E. coli. But like I said, I've never experienced it myself. I've never had it, but you know, like I'm constantly washing my hands, and then I'm feeding my dogs outside. But I be worried about my daughter because she puts her hands in her mouth, and then you know the dogs is eating the raw and stuff. But from my understanding, the dog's mouth is more safe than human's mouth. It has less germs than the human's mouth, right? But that's the biggest worries Salmonella,
Okay.
E. coli. That's the biggest risk of anything. But,
Okay.
you know, it goes back to cleanliness and being, you know, disinfecting things, which is something that I'm always going to be doing anyway. I've like, because I'm raised in a restaurant. And then my granddaddy was like, if nothing else, you can afford to be clean. You know, you might not have the best of everything, but you can take care of your stuff and you can keep it clean. So I'm big into that. And now, like, even my desk, I'm very particular about the way that things are around here. You know, like I can hear them in my head all the time. Boy, get that, you know this. And even my mom, you know what I'm saying? I can hear her. So it's important, cleanliness with anything. Even the dogs should be cleaning up behind themselves. That's right. There go my bro. We got a raw dog food feeding club. I wanted to tell you this too, as far as sourcing your materials. You know, I would encourage you to form a little co-op. We have a raw dog food feeding club here.
Okay.
Right.
Wow. We have a club for raw feeding.
Yes. And this is a way we can gather different sources, information. Somebody might knock off a deer. Somebody might come up on some chicken or some turkey. Somebody might come up on some beef, and it gives us a chance to exchange and share information and then, you know, share our resources. Hey, somebody got a whole load of chicken or whatever. And most of the time, you know, if we get it in bulk, we able to get a better price, right? We shop together. You know, we buy in bulk, we shop together. So I would encourage you all to form a raw feeding co-op, right? And then what you do is you can go to somewhere, a grocery store or whatever. Hey, we want to buy a couple thousand. So if you say, hey man, I got 10, $20, I want to buy 10, 20 pounds, that might not be worth somebody's effort, right? But if you come into them, look, I got 30 people with me. We want it all. We want it all. This stuff that y'all getting ready to throw away. Wait, before you this thing about this, instead of throwing it away, we're going to give you cash money. We got 80, we got 50, 60 dogs we trying to feed. Right? And we're going to give you money. Just give it to us. And then think about your impact on the environment. All of this stuff that you're throwing away, you know, this is the type of language that you can use to source your materials. And, you know, together we are stronger. If you try to, this was my dude explained it like this, you know, with one finger, you can just poke, right? You don't want to be a poker. You don't want to be poking the raw food game. Come together, 5 fingers together is a fist. And then you smash it. You smash it, smash it. You see it and say, okay, it's cool, girl, baby. That's just me. Dog, don't you know that she ready to get all turned up? She heard that smacking, like, what's going on there? Oh, you need my help.
You can say something suspicious.
Yeah, but no, see, so you know that's what I would encourage you to do. And then you can move, you know, so now you got many people sourcing in products, sourcing ingredients, sourcing together, and you move. Hey, now it's lucrative to the person that's operating the grocery store. Now it's lucrative to the person that's operating a feed mill. Now it makes sense. Okay, now you can spend a couple $100, $300-$400. You're doing that every week times 52 weeks in the year. Now you're able to say, hey, look, man, I'm gonna spend $10,000 with you every year. Right? Or that type of language. Now it makes sense. If you come in, I won't spend $10 or I'll buy $100. No, you get able to move in kilos. You talking kilo talk. When you start talking in the groups, you could talk strong like that. You talking kilos. That's how y'all operate, kilos, not pounds, right? Y'all in kilos. So you could talk kilo talk. Right? Okay. Hey, I'm gonna get a couple kilos from you every week. You feel me? Now you waking up like, hold on, hey, this guy's gonna buy some keys. You know what I mean? And I need to sell something, right? It makes more sense. you can do better,
Yeah.
you know, and then you also was able to offset some of your costs. So we formed a raw feeding club.
Okay.
Right. And this is not something that I just came up with myself. I saw other people doing this a long time ago. And they was calling it co-ops. But they also do this in farming communities too. So one farmer might have all of the onions, somebody else might have all of the, and what they do is they exchange. Because I talked to my guy, I'm like, bro, you got chicken in here. I ain't never seen y'all busting down chicken. I didn't know y'all killed chickens too. He like, no, this is what we, you know, we got a little community. He got eggs, somebody bringing eggs, and then they exchanging with cheese, meat. You know, he got the beef, they got the chicken.
So that's more like more collaborative.
There you go. We need each other. We need each other.
Yeah.
We gotta work. We gotta, you know, community, building up the community. So, brother, I gotta pull off. I gotta go. I gotta get ready for another episode. I need to go take I've been sweating, man. I get excited. And I ain't got no AC. But before we go, man, I want to answer any more questions that you have. But I definitely wanted to put that out there for you, though, because I think that that'd be valuable if you hadn't thought about that. And I know you know all of the dog people over there. Everybody knows GH Dog TV.
Yeah,
you
know? For sure.
So that might be a way for you all to get it together. You know what I'm saying? Work together collectively.
Exactly. And you know, this collaborative thing you talked about in Nigeria, West Africa, there's a saying that goes like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
There you
go.
That's
how they call it.
Yeah, we say one hand wash the other, both hands wash the face.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. So Jordan, I know we're going to be ending our live very soon. We're going to be ending our live very soon. But before we go, let me give you one last question, and then we use it to wrap up. You know, so if someone is watching us tonight, it's I think it should be it's getting into the evening at your end, yeah. over here it's already night. So if somebody is watching us at this moment and they want to try raw feeding, what advice would you give to them? What advice would you give to them?
Number one, fast your dog. Fast your dog. Skip a couple of days before you introduce them, and they're gonna devour it. Right? They're gonna devour it. They're gonna get full absorption. They're gonna get full. The body is gonna able to metabolize the nutrients much better. Fasting is just as important as feasting. From feast to famine. So fasting is very important. You're going to give your dog, you're going to wake them up, you're going to give them attention, then you're going to have less waste. They're going to eat as much as they can get full. You don't have to worry about them overeating. They're going to get full as they can be, and then you're going to fast them again. So if anybody that's looking to start to join in the raw movement, fast your dog first.
So you fast before you feast.
Fast, feast. Yep. Famine becomes before the feast. The more the hungrier the dog, the stronger the response you're going to get. That the hungry lion, I forget how it goes. I've been running. I can feel myself running out of words. You feel me? Yeah, but yeah.
Jordan.
Hunger fuels the tiger. Right? That's the saying that it goes. Hunger fuels the lion. Hunger fuels the tiger. So fast them first. You're gonna get it full attention.
Wow. Beautiful. It's been an amazing 1 hour talking about this whole topic. And I know that Jordan, most definitely we're gonna do a lot more. We're gonna do a lot more. So if you're watching us today, we just want to say thank you for joining our live today. And thank you for learning with us today. Today we had the man. Now Jordan had me on his channel. So today Jordan had me on the channel.
Yeah, you set it up and we knocked it down together, bro. I told you, let's go live, man. It's way more fun. Straight off the top, straight from the heart. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, we're not going. Last time we pre-record, this time we going live. And
this time we're going live.
I enjoy this, man. I really appreciate it, man. You know.
Oh, man.
it's real. It feel good. It feel good.
For sure. And it's always a vibe talking to you and discussing dog topics with you as well. And thank you to all of our viewers from Africa, from Ghana, West Africa, Nigeria, wherever you're watching us from.
Yeah,
if you don't get to watch it live and you're even watching it after the live, big shout outs to you. Thank you so much. My name is Tolowan. You can call me the dog blogger. And my channel is GH Dog TV. You can check us out on YouTube, GH Dog TV. Everything dog content. You want to check out all the great dog breeders, dog lovers in Ghana, Africa. Man, you need to check us out. You need to check us out.
For real, y'all. Hey, you're gonna see it. The love is there. The evidence is the truth is in the proof, right? The proof is in the truth. The action. Look at and see for yourself. You will not be disappointed. Thank you so much, man, for setting this up, though, bro. I really and then reminding me and getting on my case, bro. Like, hey, man, don't forget we got the live giving me it. You know what I'm saying? Because I needed that. I appreciate you, bro.
Sure.
And you're welcome anytime. I'm looking forward to having you back too, bro.
For sure, brother. We're definitely going to keep it coming and coming and coming.
All right, y'all. All right, board buddies. We gone. We'll be back very soon. Y'all stay.
No rush, go move dumb. Back and forth, push and shove. Make your peace and love turn to peace and gloves. Now you got a deal run up. No rush, go move dumb. Back and forth, push and shove. Make your peace and love turn to peace and now you got a deal run up. Hogan, Goldman, old school, young jam.